Chapter 10. Weapons Master. Jane, Trinity, and Hope were sitting with their legs crossed, meditating. A Sphinx catfolk sat cross-legged opposite Jane. Meow. Jane Turner the rogue, daredevil, and sorceress, are you ready to put on a show, or will my rogue talents dominate your jack-of-all-trades multiclassing? Edward the cat, or Edward the ladykiller leading the Topaz Thieves Guild? Hope and Trinity stood very close by Jane's side. Jane, I see we have someone here from Emerald finally participating for once. Edward winked. Hope's eyes remained focused on Edward's every-minute movement. A centaur wearing blue leather and black undergarments representing Amethyst University's psionics department trotted into the waiting room. All right, Jane, Trinity, Edward, and Hope, please follow me onto the stage. Everyone, this is your moment to represent yourselves and your factions. He trotted on, making his way to the stage. Are you nervous, Hope? No, I am not nervous. Mr. Marino better have tissues ready once he sees my skills, Hope said confidently. The group stepped into the center stage light. There were 7 rows of tables and chairs, the seating arrangement was U-shaped. Behind the walkway on an upper level sat Queen Vedic Jones and Barrister Arlo Sergio, observing tonight's demonstrations. Meanwhile Dark Sparrow sat with Troy Marino and her love interest Maxwell Turner. They were seated on the left side in the front row, close to all the action. Servants in red or purple cult-like robes and iron masks placed out a large array of exotic and foreign foods never seen on Earth. Elegant utensils, each studded with an amethyst stone, were handed out. Dark Sparrow swiped her utensils as a servant in a purple cult-like robe handed her an extra set of utensils with a napkin placed underneath. Dark Sparrow realized that the man handing her the utensils might truly be the man who killed Eric Fitzgerald. She concluded this because of his iron mask. Peering at the napkin then toward the servant, unable to detect the person among the other servants, Dark Sparrow read what was written on the napkin. This hearing aid attaches itself behind your ear. It disrupts all psionic telepathy and all psionic attacks. It was engineered by Dr. Axel Chase and Scott Chase. The centaur directed his microphone at Queen Vedic. Good evening. I am your MC for tonight. We have with us, from Amethyst University, Princess Trinity, he announced, raising his arms above his head. There was cheering all around for their princess. Next is a combined demonstration from Rubervale Prison and the Emerald Dragons featuring Jane Turner and Hope Johnson. Dark Sparrow gasped, tapping Troy's shoulder. Johnson? Is Hope related to Marcus Johnson? Troy looked at Dark Sparrow then back to the show. Dark Sparrow thought, Hope asked Jane about his parents at our first encounter. Jane is not letting on as much as she knows. All the way north from 9 Mile Sapphire Beach, I present to you Empress Julie the aquatic druid, knight, and dragon rider. The MC whispered to Julie, we do not need any heavy rain or tsunamis here tonight. Once I earn Leviathan's respect, I'll personally send a tsunami through a centaur village, Empress Julie replied smugly. Forgive my act of contrition for my first offense of attempted sarcasm. Glad I didn't pursue a career as a comedian. There was laughter all around at the lame joke. The MC trotted off, approaching Edward, keeping a close eye on Julie. Julie had short brown rough-cut hair and mail plate armor embedded with polished natural sapphires. Direct from the Topaz Thieves Guild, every child's favorite mascot, Edward, or more formally known to Earthling children as Edward the cat. The cheering for Edward was much louder, supported by many positive statements all around. Edward formally bowed, blowing kisses and flexing his muscles through his black tights. He directs one kiss, a wink, and a flawless vibrant smile toward Dark Sparrow. Boiling with anger, Dark Sparrow snapped. Troy and Maxwell, have either of you ever heard of this hairless Sphinx catfolk before? I am sure his teeth sparkle brighter than a diamond, just like an overrated amine. Troy shrugged, grimacing angrily. I have never seen a humanoid hairless rodent before. I bloody hate anime. I would prefer it if you avoided any pointless anime cross-references, Troy growled, clenching his fists. Maxwell answered calmly, he is a rogue who stole my heart by helping many children and animals find a loving home. That is why Friday, June 21st, at midday, outside Nankin City Courthouse, Peter Richardson is giving away Edward the cat dolls to all children before they march to Gwenvale Children's Hospital. It will be a 10-mile march with plenty of NEV assisting those who cannot walk long distances. You should come along to inspire others. More female role models are needed. Besides, you would make an honorable impression seeing as children love bounty hunters. The kids and parents all dress in costume. Who knows, Dark Sparrow, you may become a leading face in cosplay. Dark Sparrow drifted into thoughts of her and Maxwell holding hands while Dr. Tracy Genelan conducts a ceremony of marriage inside the courthouse. Do you, Mrs. John, Dark Sparrow, take Maxwell Turner to be your one and only husband? A man wearing a purple mask and purple cult-like robes tapped Maxwell's shoulder. Professor Turner, this hot babe wants you. Want me to find out her interests? Dark Sparrow glared at the amethyst cult-like mystic. Damn, so I assume purple represents amethyst mystics, who have psionic powers to read my mind. Therefore, red represents Ruby, from Rubervale Prison. According to the Universal Mystics Bible, most mystics only obtain divine and arcane magic. She carefully placed the hearing aid into her right ear. Hell will freeze over before I allow anyone to read my mind. After Edward finally stopped prancing around, the MC announced, now, finally, we have a sixth group to introduce, sanctioned by the Sarina Gemfields. This group has only recently made the Central Highlands of Albach home. I say let's all give a standing ovation for Scientist and our own Mr. Ambassador Trevor Banks. Only Jane Turner clapped loud and enthusiastically as everyone else remained silent. Emperor Scientist opened wide his forearms, formally bowing, and then opened his palms toward the ceiling. Jane whistled and shouted out, clicking her fingers, Planet Siona has brought us 5 mana towers. Yay for us. Impulsively the rest of the hall cheered in support of the new residents of Albach. The MC announced, first up for demonstration is Jane Turner and Hope Johnson. The stage was clear. Jane and Hope were ready with what they needed to put on a show. Jane Turner spoke through the MC's microphone, like the court of law, let's just get to the point. This is not your usual traditional or creative martial arts demonstration. I will stand back with my redwood bow staff and cast 6 shadow clones by 6 sets, using my arcane magic, as all witness young blood defending himself, creating a new prestigious martial art that has no name yet. We are calling it Weapons Mastery until a more appropriate name comes along. Hope pulled out 2 short polished bamboo sticks and stood ready to fight. Hope is going to demonstrate the art of 2-weapon fighting derived from Kali, versus the art of pole weapons derived from Butsu. Ready. Speaking in tongues, Jane cast 6 shadow clones attacking from various sides. Hope stepped forward, blocking as he applied pressure against the force of the bow, followed by parrying and striking at the vulnerable areas of Jane's abdomen. 6 clones dispersed as another 6 shadow clones attacked. This time Hope feinted, maneuvering his attack to strike one of Jane's clones' knees, ribs, and temple. It was an episode of parrying and striking followed by feinting and striking. Jane announced, next, Hope will demonstrate 2-handed weapon fighting using a botken, a wooden sword originally used in medieval European sword fighting. Following the same procedure, Hope applied pressure against Jane's clone's bow staff, parrying and striking followed by feinting and striking. Jane announced, a bow staff allows for more stances and techniques than any weapon. Butsu is a fantastic martial art with prestigious form. Performing a variety of stances, she said, this is my primary weapon, my weapon of choice. Once learning fundamentals of unarmed combat, sword fighting basics known as Mulinay, 1-handed weapon fighting, 2-weapon fighting, 2-handed weapon fighting, and pole weapon fighting, anyone can promptly learn to be a weapons master. Begin with the basics and anyone can defend themselves. The Weapons Master class is for everyone from all walks of life, not just human. Troy was sitting on the edge of his seat, paying close attention to Hope. While he was distracted, Dark Sparrow swiped his utensils, hiding her sleight of hand with a napkin. Randomly I shall attack Hope with 6 clones by 12 sets. I will attack while aiming for a hit, fighting with my redwood bow staff in various butsu stances. Please do not worry, because every hit from a shadow clone inflicts very minimal damage, and each copy of my redwood bow staff has a minimal degree of toughness. Hope will also change weapons to mix up his demonstration. And remember, he will always be safe, Jane reassured the audience. Hope stepped to the side of stage, grabbing an emerald green steel bow staff. Locking his weapon into a sheath on his back, he stood in traditional karate stance, ready to fight Jane's shadow clones. Jane focused her arcane mana and vocalized, casting many sets of shadow clones. Don't blink or you will miss a good fight. Never cry me an ocean, seeing as my adrenaline and mana are synchronized, reducing the toll it takes and thereby allowing me to avoid mana exhaustion. Hope, still in a traditional karate stance, stood ready to fight all shadow clones, which only required one soft hit to knock down. 2 attackers appeared overhead, and one came in for a sweep. Parrying the sweep with his right leg, Hope used a right arm block overhead, taking one strike to his ribs. He circled his hands around, going with the motion, then delivered 3 knife hand strikes to the back of 3 heads. Rushing, Jane's clones diverted additional attacks, avoiding the redwood bow staff. Hope held the weapon like a sword, sweeping 2 clones. He would sweep the knee of one of them, then sidestep to whirl in the other, inward direction, sweeping a different clone's knee. About to impale a 6th clone, Hope saw the shadow clone of a redwood bow staff disperse. Pulling both hands toward his left hip, he was now wielding his own emerald green steel bow staff, striking straight across the 6th clone's thigh. Hope shouted, "Treat your bow like a 6-foot-long full-bladed sword, barely keeping it off the floor behind you." Jane spoke quickly in tongues, sending out set after set of shadow clones desperate to strike from all sides. Hope used his footwork, pivoting and turning 45, 90, and then 180 degrees to face the clones. More than able to defend himself, Hope wielded his weapon with much power and speed, cutting the air and making a sound very similar to helicopter blades in motion. Clones countlessly dispersed into puffs of smoke. After 1 minute of this intensity, smoke was more visible, spreading throughout the hall. Detaching his emerald green steel bow staff, Hope demonstrated 2-weapon fighting, using the same technique he used with his 2 short sticks. Deflecting all of Jane's attacks, Hope demonstrated many combinations: jab, cross, double strike, and will kick to a clone behind, then a circular motion around and against his body, protecting his ribs. Hope utilized the entire arena with fluent maneuvers. A few Jane clones lunged to pierce, another few extended their reach, holding the ends of their redwood bow staffs, and a few more jumped toward Hope, slamming their weapons in a downward motion. Sidestepping and then stepping forward between 2 piercing clones, Hope struck one behind one leg and the other's skull. He made circular motions, slicing through the abdomen, stepping back, and rushing forward. Hope demonstrated good form, defending himself properly, not taking any damage. "I am calling this one in," Jane shouted over the microphone, deafening the audience. "Hope is a fantastic martial artist." "I am gassed." Jane gasped for air, unable to keep up with Hope's stamina. Dr. Alexander Saldek was standing next to Scientist. He stepped onto the stage to personally shake Hope's hand. Hope reached to shake, then he faced Jane, grabbed her hand, and raised it high as the crowd cheered. Troy tapped Dark Sparrow. "That man is a creepy psychiatrist. He asks way too many personal questions. Why am I not surprised he is here?" Dr. Alexander Saldek faced Dark Sparrow. After staring directly at her for a moment, he grabbed the microphone from Jane. "As head of psionic education here at Amethyst University, I would be delighted to have an interview with you both," he said, indicating Dark Sparrow and Troy. I'd truly like the chance to do some scientific tests and sponsor Hope to define this martial art, Dr. Alexander Saldek announced cheerfully. Queen Vedic Jones stood to make an announcement. Jane Turner, you have honored Rubervale Prison, your loving father, and everyone here at Amethyst University. Maxwell shouted out, 3 cheers to the strongest sorcerer with the most mana. Give her a place in the Hall of Fame. Overwhelmed by her father's statement, Jane blushed. Hope Johnson, what an amazing show. I know you have much more potential. My psionic powers reveal so much hidden potential deep inside your fantastic mind. If you were only a few inches taller, I would propose that you and I merge to uncover infinite mental and physical potential. My intelligence is at your disposal, and all it takes is a simple merge, Dr. Alexander Saldek suggested, making sure everyone heard him. Hope formally bowed toward all 3 sides of the arena. She whispered to Dr. Saldek, my father wrote a manuscript on weapons. However, he never did get to finish his work. Over these years on Albac, I have filled in all missing gaps thanks to Jane and Desmond. So, no thank you. I am happy being Hope, not Alexby or Hunter. Merging only lasts about 30 minutes, then fission separates the 2 bodies. Think about it, Hope. I want to help you achieve the destiny that has been set before you. Troy whispered to Dark Sparrow and Maxwell, I will hire this kid and train him to be my apprentice. He clearly has more talents than what he could demonstrate. Hope's eyes constantly blinked in boredom. He was not challenged by Jane. Maxwell glowered, then he concentrated on cheering for his daughter and Hope. Walking off the stage past Edward, Jane bragged, rogue, daredevil, sorcerer, martial artist, dragon rider, and weapons master. You may say that in Papa's game, Jane Turner is one of the highest-level all-star characters. Edward was stunned. Congratulations, Jane Turner. Your arcane powers have far exceeded those of our founding forefathers, Ambassador Trevor, Warden Cameron, your father, and perhaps Queen Vedic Jones herself. See you at the Topaz Thieves Guild Labyrinth tomorrow for our quest. Edward gazed, looking defeated by Jane. Dark Sparrow was able to overhear the conversation between Edward and Jane. Her hearing aid device magnified her hearing a great deal. She heard Edward refer to Hope as Hope Johnson. The MC broadcasted, next up is a mystic currently ranked number 7. I am not talking about birthright entitlements or asking for a misfortune vote. Princess Trinity is here to prove she is moving up in rank tonight. Dark Sparrow said to herself, that spiky-haired boy reminds me of my stepbrother Ken. What exactly is Jane's relationship to Hope Johnson and Marcus Johnson? Why is Jane closely connected to each suspect, and why does she have a close connection inside each faction?